Good afternoon. My name is Allison Leip, and I am the 11th grade English teacher at Martin County High School. My project is called Moving Mountains, Expanding Horizons. This project is creating a more inclusive and diverse independent reading library in my classroom. So before I begin explaining the concept behind my project, I want you to think just to yourself for a minute. How did you feel when you were first able to recognize yourself in a book? I can remember the exact time I was 12 years old in 6th grade, and I read the book Lush by Natasha Friend. And in this book, the main character is struggling with living with a father who is struggling with an addiction. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I could actually feel someone say, "Hey, you're not alone. I understand where you're coming from." So my first year of teaching, I did lit circles with a group of students, and I had a particular student who I could not get to speak. In fact, when you tried to go work with her, she would hiss at you. And I decided to do literature circles, and one of the books was, It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. And he talks about mental health and suicide awareness. And after she went home, she got the book on Friday, and she came back to me on Monday, and she looked at me, and she just could not stop talking. I could not shut her up. And so every single day she would come find me in the hallway, and we would start talking about how, she really connected with this character, and these were things that she struggled with, but she had never felt like she was heard. And so both of these things I started thinking about in the context of living in Appalachia, and I often heard students say, "I can't wait to get out of here. I don't want to raise my children here," and those comments started to really break me down and hurt my heart. And just thinking, like, I would want to be able to feel at home and raise my children and live in a place where I was raised, in a place that I'm proud of. So this project lives on the two ideas of this, that learning is always personal and it's always contextual. And a lot of this idea comes from Emily Stiles' research. She is a former educator, and current educator, and she's the co-director of the National Seed Project, which basically she identifies that curriculums need to function both as a window and as a mirror in order to reflect and reveal most accurately a multicultural world and the student herself or himself. And so this idea that our curriculum, the things that our students are reading or learning, should reflect their own culture and help them build their own identity, while also being a resource, that window that allows them to view into other people's lives and other people's culture. And so what I did was I went into the community and I talked to students, I talked to regional leaders, I talked to other educators in my school district and in my community, and I just asked them, what books do you feel like represent Appalachia in a positive light? What books do you feel like students would be able to connect to and learn from? And I started making this list, and eventually I had 30 or 40 books, and I was like, okay, I can't purchase all of these books on my own, so I'm going to need some help. And so I decided to apply for this grant. And I'm also working on another project called Stories of Place, where I partner with the University of Kentucky and a professor there, where my students do place-based learning, where they go out into the community and they learn through individuals in the community, businesses, organizations, in their own homes. The idea that students already are a pool of knowledge that they can pull from on their own, and that their knowledge deserves to be heard in other places besides, the four walls of their home. And so being able to tell their own story, but also reading stories that reflect their own culture and their own identity. Does anybody have any questions?